IJN Miyoko was a truly formidable heavy cruiser, but she had been severely damaged during the Battle of Leyte Gulf, and was sent to Japan for repairs. Despite this, her condition was so dire that she couldn't make the return journey alone. Was December 1944, and, along with her escort, the destroyer Ushio, she steamed toward the home islands. As they crossed the Pacific on the evening of the 13th, they were suddenly attacked by an unseen enemy lurking in the dark waters. Miyoko stopped to evaluate the situation, barely seaworthy and vulnerable to another strike at any moment. With no ability to engage in open combat, the ships tried to flee and continue their difficult journey back to Japan, but the enemy had no intention of letting them escape so easily. Miyoko was the lead ship of her class of heavy cruisers in the Imperial Japanese Navy, the first of her sisters to be laid down, and the third to be completed. She was also the first 10,000-ton cruiser built by any nation, named after Mount Miyoko in Niigata, constructed under the limitations of the Washington Naval Treaty. During the 1922 to 1929 fleet modernization program, Miyoko underwent several modifications throughout the 1930s, increasing her final displacement to around 16,000 tons. Her class was an enlarged version of the Aoba-class cruisers. She stretched over 200 meters long, with a beam of about 20 meters and a draft of 6.36 meters. Capable of reaching 35.5 knots, she was powered by 12 compound boilers and 4 sets of single-impulse geared turbine engines, with 4 shafts turning 3-bladed propellers. Her armor included a 102mm thick sidebelt and a 35mm deck, though her bridge remained unarmored. Miyoko's main battery consisted of 10 20-centimeter naval guns mounted in 5 turrets, making her the most heavily armed heavy cruiser in the world at the time. Her secondary battery included 8 12.7-centimeter guns in 4 twin mounts, and she carried 12 Type 93 long lance torpedoes in 4 triple launchers beneath the aircraft deck. She could accommodate 3 float planes and had a catapult for aerial reconnaissance missions. Launched in 1927 and commissioned in 1929, Miyoko was ready for war. She first saw combat in the Second Sino-Japanese War, serving as flagship of Sentai 9. Afterward, she underwent retrofitting to extend her operational life into the 1940s. By the start of World War II, she and her sister ships were somewhat outdated, but still serviceable. Miyoko's torpedo count was doubled to 16, and she received 25mm anti-aircraft guns, which proved useful during Pacific engagements. In the early war stages, she participated in the invasion of the Philippines and the Battle of the Java Sea. In March 1942, she and her sister Ashigara, along with destroyers Akebono and Inazuma, sank the British heavy cruiser Exeter. She later became the flagship of the carrier strike force during Operation Emoto. The failed attempt to invade Port Moresby, leading aircraft carriers Shokaku and Zuikaku. Miyoko also took part in the Tulagi invasion and the Battle of the Coral Sea, which ended with a Japanese withdrawal from Papua New Guinea. During the Battle of Midway, she was part of the support force and was sent to escort the reinforcement convoy in the Aleutian Islands campaign. In October 1942, she supported resupply missions and bombardments on Guadalcanal, including operations at Henderson Field. She later assisted in evacuations from Guadalcanal and Kiska before heading to Sasebo for another refit. While there, she was upgraded with new 25mm anti-aircraft mounts and a Type 21 radar. In the summer of 1944. Miyoko fought in the Battle of the Philippine Sea in response to the American invasion of the Mariana Islands. Later that year, she encountered U.S. Task Force 38 and was hit by a torpedo during the Battle of Leyte Gulf, severely damaged. She limped back to Singapore and then departed for Japan, unaware that her fate would soon be sealed by an encounter with USS Bergall. On December 5, 1944, USS Bergall departed Australia for a patrol along the Malayan and Indochina coasts. She was loaded with anchored mines in her aft torpedo tubes, which she intended to lay along a reef known as the Royalist Bank. That same afternoon, Miyoko began her journey to the Japanese mainland for repairs, accompanied by destroyer, *. The pair was scheduled to depart around December 9th, but their departure was delayed. On the morning they were finally ready, the submarine Bergall was just emerging from the Lombok Strait. Shortly after dawn on the 12th, the cruiser and her escort finally set off. Making things more difficult, Ushio was also damaged, and neither ship could sail faster than about 17 knots. In the midst of the chaos of the Pacific Theater in late 1944, both vessels moved slowly but steadily through active war zones, with the lingering chance that the cruiser, though partly operational, might still be called into duty. Unbeknownst to the Japanese, a stealthy U.S. submarine had just arrived to lay mines off the Royalist Bank, * as the sun set on the 13th. Bergall was preparing to complete her mission when an unexpected radio signal was received, indicating the presence of a strong transmitter nearby. Commander J.M. Hyde looked through the periscope and spotted a Japanese warship 35,000 yards away. Heading northeast at 14 knots, he immediately turned the submarine, ordered all engines to full power, and moved quickly to intercept the enemy's path. Bergall began to gain an advantage, but vibrations from the engines forced the crew to reduce speed. By 7:20 p.m., they had secured a solid contact, and an hour later, the target was clearly visible. Recognizing the immense risk of engaging a heavily armed cruiser and its escort, Hyde and his officers prepared cautiously. * A submerged approach was impossible due to the shallow waters, and the submarine's aft tubes were filled with mines, leaving only the bow tubes available for attack. Undeterred, Hyde moved the vessel under the cover of darkness, hoping to avoid early detection by enemy radar. Then, a moment of opportunity arose as the cruiser and its escort overlapped. Bergall fired all bow tubes at 3,300 yards. Within seconds, the first and second torpedo struck, triggering a massive explosion. Miyoko came to a halt, and her escort also stopped, leading the submarine crew to believe both had been hit. * Miyoko suffered serious damage, particularly to her aft section, with fires erupting, but the main structure and forward mast remained intact. Despite this, Hyde believed the damage was more extensive than it actually was. He began preparing to reload for a finishing blow, but Ushio quickly moved to counterattack. Assuming the submarine was crippled, Bergall approached for another strike. Ushio then opened fire. A precise salvo pierced the forward torpedo loading hatch, and water began flooding into the pressure hull. Hyde took evasive action, dodged another volley, and avoided detection even as Ushio activated a searchlight. Unable to dive, he decided to flee the area and put as much distance as possible between the submarine and the Japanese vessels. Fortunately, Ushio did not pursue. Miyoko, though badly damaged, had not been destroyed. Still able to make 6 knots, her captain chose to save the ship. With her steering gone, Ushio attached a towline and began the slow journey to Singapore. On board Bergall, the situation remained dire. The crew stuffed mattresses into the hull to keep out seawater and fought electrical fires for days. Since they could no longer submerge, they remained on high alert for potential air attacks, keeping all guns ready. The nearest base, Exmouth Gulf, was 2,000 miles away. In a clever move, Hyde decided to stay close to the coast, so aircraft might mistake the submarine for a regular boat. On the 15th, Bergall encountered USS Angler and transferred 54 men and an officer to safety, retaining only a skeleton crew for the final leg of the journey through the Karamata Strait. Hyde instructed Angler's captain not to attempt a rescue if they were attacked, telling him to save the boat and the rest of the men. Meanwhile, fires continued to burn on Miyoko. On the same day, the Japanese located friendly vessels, and, despite harsh weather, a small convoy managed to escort the cruiser to Singapore. By February 1945, it was clear that Miyoko could not be repaired or towed to Japan. Instead, the once powerful cruiser remained in Singapore, serving as an anti-battery. Her adversary, Bergall, would go on to serve well into the 1950s. The 2 ships were supposed to leave around December 9th, but their departure was delayed. On the morning they were finally ready to go, the American submarine Bergall was just emerging from the Lombok Strait. Shortly after dawn, on December 12th, the cruiser and its escort finally got underway. Ushio was also damaged, so neither vessel could travel faster than about 17 knots. Amid the chaos of the Pacific Theater in late 1944, they moved forward slowly through active and dangerous waters, with a small chance that the partly operational cruiser might be called back into action at any moment. Meanwhile, the Japanese were unaware that a hidden American submarine was arriving to deploy its mines along the Royalist Bank. As the sun set on December 13th, Bergall was preparing to finish its mission when an unexpected radio signal was received, indicating the presence of a strong nearby transmitter. Commander J.M. Hyde peered through the periscope and spotted a Japanese warship 35,000 yards away, heading northeast at 14 knots. He immediately turned the submarine toward the target, ordered all engines to full power, and rushed to intercept the ship's course. Bergall gained ground quickly, but the engine vibrations forced the crew to ease off. By 7:20 p.m., they had locked onto the target, and an hour later, it came into full view. Knowing the risk of attacking a heavily armed cruiser and its escort, Hyde and his officers waited for the right moment. A submerged approach wasn't possible due to shallow waters, and with the aft torpedo tubes filled with mines, only the forward tubes could be used. Despite the limitations, Hyde moved in under the cover of night, hoping the enemy's radar wouldn't detect them. Then, a brief opportunity opened up when the cruiser and her escort overlapped. Bergall fired all bow torpedoes at a range of 3,300 yards. Within seconds, 2 torpedoes struck, setting off massive explosions. Miyoko halted immediately, and her escort also came to a stop, leading the submarine crew to believe both ships had been hit. The explosions caused severe damage to Miyoko's aft, with fires breaking out, though her forward structure and main mast remained intact. Hyde believed the damage was even greater than it was, and prepared to reload for another strike. As this was happening, Ushio began hunting for the submarine. Thinking the submarine might be disabled, Bergall moved in for the final blow, but Ushio suddenly opened fire. A direct hit pierced the forward torpedo loading hatch, causing seawater to flood into the hull. Hyde managed to steer away and dodge a second round of fire. Ushio turned on a searchlight, but Bergall evaded detection. Unable to dive, the submarine retreated at full speed. Luckily, Ushio didn't give chase. Miyoko had been badly damaged, but not destroyed. Still capable of moving at 6 knots, her captain decided to save the ship. Since the cruiser could no longer steer, Ushio attached a towline, and together, they began the slow and difficult journey to Singapore. On board Bergall, the crew worked to keep the submarine afloat. They stuffed mattresses into the breach to stop the water, and dealt with electrical fires. Now forced to remain on the surface, they prepared for the possibility of air attacks, keeping all weapons ready. Their closest base, Exmouth Gulf, was 2,000 miles away. Hyde made the decision to sail closer to the coast so that enemy aircraft might mistake the submarine for a civilian vessel. On December 15th, Bergall encountered the USS Angler and transferred 54 men and 1 officer to safety. A small crew remained aboard for the risky journey through the Karamata Strait. Hyde told the other commander not to rescue them if they came under attack, instructing him instead to save his boat and the rest of the men. Back on Miyoko, fires continued to burn. On the same day, the Japanese managed to find friendly ships. Despite rough weather, a small convoy helped escort the cruiser to Singapore. By February 1945, it was clear that Miyoko was beyond repair and couldn't be towed back to Japan. The cruiser was left in Singapore and served as a stationary anti-aircraft battery. Meanwhile, the American submarine that had nearly ended her journey continued its service for years to come.